Hi, I'm Dave Kettlewell, the host of mastersofharmonica.com, and welcome to this continuing series on the most important topic in chromatic harmonica, the breath. In this video, we're going to be covering an advanced concept, which is that many draw notes are flat. And I'm going to explain to you why that is and how you can beat that problem. But let's recap the two most important ideas from this entire series. And if you only came away with these two, I think you'd have benefited quite a bit. Number one is the realization that the chromatic harmonica is a breath instrument. And that means that everything you do, whether it's a straight tone or a bend or an arpeggio or whatever kind of technique you do on your instrument, it will be supported by the diaphragm and the breath. So breath is everything. I think it's about 55% of playing the harmonica. And this is the pyramid. It's your personal pyramid of skill development. Just practicing doesn't mean you're going to get better. You got to practice the right stuff the right way, and you want to build on a solid foundation. And the number one foundation stone in your and my pyramid of improvement as a player, the number one foundation stone, solid like granite, has to be the breath. So, what I'm going to share with you right now, I've never read, and I haven't heard anybody talking about it on YouTube, but it's very true. And that is that a good number of players, regardless of whether they're beginners, intermediates, and even performers at the top level internationally, have a tendency to play the draw notes slightly flat. Now, that may come as a surprise to you, but I will mention to you that certain saxophone players also play the very high notes slightly flat. It is a problem that creeps in with a lot of professional musicians, but I'm going to explain to you why that happens and what you can do about it. Now, before I do that, I want to explain something. If you do something on the harmonica as a technique, like you take a note a little bit flat, it should be a conscious choice of the artist yourself. Because what happens in this world of music is that lack of technical mastery often masquerades as artistic interpretation. Let me say that again. Lack of technical knowledge and technical mastery oftentimes masquerades as artistic interpretation. And those would be the players who whong on a deeply bent low note every time they do a draw on a low note. And I'm going to tell you, that's not an artistic choice. Their technique is out of control. So whatever you do on the harmonica, have it be your technical choice. Do you want to go da, 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 da? Okay. Or do you want da, 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 da? Whatever you're picking, you got to pick it and play it. So let it start in the mind, and let what you do on the harmonica be what you want and what you choose, not what you just happen to do because you don't have control of the draw. Okay. Let me explain why notes go flat on a draw. Most people do not have a solid granite foundation stone of breath, especially on draw. They never really practice it to activate their diaphragm. They don't know how to activate the reed properly. They haven't thought about it. And they bend. They bend the note slightly flat because of incorrect embouchure as a general rule. And so every time they do a draw note, it's slightly flat. So it's lack of control and lack of knowledge. Why? The draws are hard. It is very difficult to get a draw note to be identical in volume and control to blows. It takes a long time. It's not easy to get the two to play the same. The draw always has a tendency to be weaker. But when a note goes flat on a draw, there's something happening in the mouth I'm going to explain to you. And it will help you lick the problem. When air goes out of your mouth with your tongue down, like that, the air goes straight out. But if you let your tongue rise up to near the roof of your mouth, the air scoops like this, and it creates a vortex and a slight amount of vacuum on the reed, and it bends the note like this. I'm bending it down because I allowed my tongue to go up to the upper part of the roof of my mouth. Now all I have to do to fix it is bring the tongue back down again. So if you're playing and that bent because I didn't have it under control and I allowed that note to bend on the draw at the low end instead of either could be correct, but you want to do what you want to do. So you want to practice making sure that the air on a draw is clean and smooth. Now there's another little cheat way to accomplish this that I'll teach you that you can see if your draws are correct, and that is let a little bit of air slip past the side of your mouth while you're doing a draw, because that eliminates the vortex. It eliminates that whole thing of air scooping and creating a slight amount of vacuum on that reed. So I'm letting just a little bit of air, and it's like a test to see, is that note truly the correct note, or is it going a little flat? That's a little bit flat, just a little bit flat. So when you play songs, I mean, like some of them start off with a beautiful bend as a major note, like, that's a technique. Okay, but I did it on purpose. And it went, ma, na. Okay, but you want it under control. So when you use that bend, you like it. And when you play a piece, you can try it with bend and without the bend or whatever. You decide what sounds right. But don't be playing all the draws flat, because it shows that you do not have your instrument under control, which you will have if you are careful. Keep that tongue low, bottom of your mouth, and use the slipstream to break the vortex just to test and see if that note is clean or not. Now, one other thing, this is a hint, okay? When it comes to tricks like vibrato and things like tongue taps, less is more. You don't need to pack your harmonica performance full of a million tricks, one after the other. And there's been a lot of players that did that, like Adler and others. A song sometimes is most beautiful when it's just sung straight. Like I remember in the classes when I was studying operatic stuff, and my teacher said, "Why are you doing slurred notes?" No, no. She goes, "Don't do that. Just play the notes straight, like Miles Davis was told to do on trumpet." So it might be no, 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 no. Just that one little no was enough to make that phrase more interesting. And it's the same when you play on harmonica. You don't have to load it with a lot of different things if the notes are beautiful. Or let's do something different. It's just pretty tones, and they work real well. And I didn't throw in any. Well, I was using tongue taps and draws in there, and it worked, but you got to play it different ways and say, what is the most enjoyable artistic interpretation for you? So, don't be one of those players that every time you play a draw, it's just a hair flat. You want your notes on pitch, on correct pitch, and you want to be able to play them correctly. Understanding that on a 16-hole harmonica, what it takes to play a draw note not flat here and here and here and here are all different things, because those reeds are responding differently to air pressure as they get smaller. It takes a little bit more difficulty up here usually to really get these under control. So each of the 4 octaves requires some practice on your part to get them under control, understanding that these guys never bend as a rule. These guys do, and you can bend these guys a whole bunch. That's a blow, and here's a draw. So bends, blow, and draw are possible up to about here, okay? And this is not a lesson on vibrato or bends, which we're going to do. But I did need to at least cover this with you so you would be able to see what happens when somebody is making their draw notes flat. And I thought you might just enjoy a little bit of Moon River. It's a pretty piece that I play, so I just play a little bit for you. And here we go. Very simple, very clean. So that is number 5. Now, starting on our breath video number 6, should you breathe through your nose at the same time that you're playing the harmonica with your breath from your diaphragm? That's an interesting question and another advanced technique. Okay, so let's take a look at that question.